This is Cheap Joker. Today what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be fiberglassing a bolt on the inside of my rear fender. So what I've got going on today is my rear fender is loose. There's a bracket that goes around the tire, and there's a bolt that should be on the inside of the rear fender that goes into that bracket, and then of course you have a nut on the other side and it tightens to the bracket, and that prevents it from moving around. Well, apparently the bolt that I had in there, and about 6 years ago I had fiberglass this bolt in there, right there, kinda. So I fiberglassed the this end to the bolt, or to the fender, and then of course this end went through the bracket and I put a nut on the end. But apparently it broke loose, and so what we're going to be trying to do is to repair that. Right there's the bracket. This bracket goes all around the rear tire. And of course here's my fender. And that bolt that I showed you earlier, see, that's been fiberglassed into the fender, but apparently it has broken free. So if you can see where the hole is, right there. So what we're going to be trying to do today is to fiberglass that bolt back into the fender. So right there is the bracket. Over here is where it was fiberglassed into the rear fender. So what we're going to try to do is patch that, or fiberglass it back into the fender. What I'm going to do, instead of using this bolt that actually I had in there before, sat down in here, and of course this first washer is what the fiberglass was over and kind of grabbed onto. I'm going to exchange it with this. It's about the same length, just a bigger bolt. I figured this might actually stay a little bit mounted a little bit better. So what I did earlier, I was trying to get rid of some of the fiberglass there, so because I think when I put this in it kind of is down to the left, but I'm going to use some epoxy that I had left over from some type of job way back, and I'm going to try to use that just to mount the bolt so it stays. And then what I'm going to do is put the fiberglass over that. According to the instruction, the bond sets in 2 minutes, but they recommend 24 hours to let it cure. But they also say in 20 minutes the item can be moved. I added a little bit more epoxy. I tried to level the fender off, but with this cord there's not a quick disconnect. But anyways, as you can see, I've kind of have it flushed, covering just the underside of that bolt head. And so we're going to let this set up, and then the idea is we're going to fiberglass over that. Alright, what I bought, it was to do this job, is going to be the Bondo Fiberglass kit. I got this at Walmart for $17.88. I think you can get it also at like Advance Auto or AutoZone for $23. So the kit is supplied with your resin, your little tray, stir stick, spreader, hardener, and then of course the fiberglass cloth. What we're going to do is cut the cloth to size, just so we have everything ready, so when we do begin the project we don't have to take any time to do anything else, because you have, I believe according to the instructions, about 8 minutes or so time you start mixing this up to be able to get it on the cloth and spread it around. What I'm going to do now is just kind of clean up the area around where I'm going to put the fiberglass. I'm going to just use a cotton swab, some alcohol. The instruction for this calls for 1 ounce of resin, and then you're to add 10 drops of hardener. So 1 ounce is approximately 29 milliliters. So I've got a medicine cup here, and it's 20 the top line, and that black mark I just approximate of 10 milliliters, so that's going to give me almost my 30 milliliters, which will be 1 ounce. The next day, this is what it looks like. This is kind of the finished product. This actually cured probably within about 2 to 3 hours. The box says it cures in 2 hours, and it was pretty much good to go after 2 hours. A little tip, maybe if you are doing this, especially if you have to do it around a bolt, you might put some painter's tape around here from the resin getting into the threads of the bolt. But other than that, it looks pretty decent. It's in there pretty good. So all we have to do is install it. What I did to kind of cushion the fender from bouncing on that metal, I took a piece of tubing and just cut a little piece off, and as you can see here, kind of as like a buffer, so if this moves up and down, it kind of has a little bit of a shock absorbing kind of thing going to it. And then all I got to do is install the nut on there, and that's it. If you enjoy some of the content from this channel, consider subscribing. Thanks for watching.